Hello and welcome to Higher or Lower, brought to you by Spreadex and Oddschecker. This is the show where we look at the spread markets in some matches ahead of the Premier League weekend, and we choose higher if we think it's a buy or lower if we think it's a sell. I'm your host, George Elek, and I'm delighted to be joined by one of our regular guests. We've got Jack Wright here, but no sign of Dan.
I know, our paddle pal is missing.
It's because you've been so much better than him that he's decided to call in sick 3 days early.
Very early, he went early.
He says he's going to be back next week. I think what he's doing is he's watching this show, making notes on your research, and he's going to come back stronger. That's what he's doing. Yeah, he's taking it. It's a tactical injury.
We'll see. Yeah. It's not for me to say, but thanks for mentioning it.
Before we get into the selections or the markets for this coming weekend's action in the Premier League, we're going to have a quick look back at how we got on last week. The good news is that it's bad news for Dan. You and I were right.
Bad news.
We were on the right side of the higher or lower. We were correct with our with what we said, and 71%. Hope for that they took out the 11, which was bang on for the total corners market. Because if we'd all lost that, I'd feel unfair.
Yeah.
The guys on Twitter who voted on some of the markets were right 50% of the time.
Okay.
And Dan was right 43% of the time.
Right.
So he's playing catch up.
Yeah.
I was particularly happy with both of us getting all of us getting the first Man City goal against Burnley right. We were lower at 40, made up 4, so that's a 36% profit.
Nice win.
Yeah. You and I can gloat about getting the Manchester United Wolves sell right at 3.1, which was maybe a bit fortunate.
Possibly a little bit fortunate, but and you did mention at the end of that piece about the Wolves line selling the goals there, so the minutes there. So I think that was a very nice lean as well.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
On to this weekend now, and we're starting with Tottenham hosting Manchester United. We're going to start with the Supremacy. So this is the amount of goals that one team will win over the other by. And it comes into decimals. So here, for example, the Supremacy is 0.05, 0.25. That means the midpoint is 0.15. Yes, I know you can't have a 0.15 of a goal, but all it means is that if United do win by a solitary goal, and say you buy for £10, then your profit will be, if you're buying at 0.25, your profit will be £7.50. So that's the way that it works here. And obviously you lose going down to the other way as well if it flips. So United favourites at Tottenham. 0.15 is the Supremacy in United's favour. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, we're both lower here.
Yeah.
Tell us why. I mean, it's kind of obvious for anyone that watched United's game, isn't it? On Monday?
Yeah, that was a bit of a shocker, wasn't it, really, to be honest with you? And I think we're strong on United last week. Possibly more so the fact that we weren't expecting Wolves to offer anything. And to be fair, they offered quite a lot.
Loads.
Yeah, they did. 23 shots. So for United to concede 23 shots at home as well was alarming. And I should imagine Erik ten Hag's been at them, to say the least. XG 2.14 for Wolves. And but Wolves are Wolves, aren't they? They can't score. So that sort of fitted the narrative that we expected. But if they're going to give that up against this Spurs side, who I think were decent against Brentford, I think the first glimpse of Ange ball in competitive football, did well enough, kept the ball, created plenty, and obviously scored a couple of goals as well. So I think this should be actually an interesting game. I think both these sides actually are suited to playing each other. I think with Spurs, they'll go at United, and United will obviously look to hit them on the counter. But I think Spurs will get plenty of chances by the looks of that first United performance, certainly. Yeah. So I'm happy. This is effectively having Spurs and the draw on side, isn't it?
Yeah. I totally agree. I think that when you look at the players that cause United so much trouble in terms of Cunha and Nunez, when you consider that Tottenham have players in transition who are so good, whether that's going to be Maddison or Richarlison through the middle. I know Son's out of form, but another player who should thrive if that space is left in behind. Yeah. Even Basuma, who controlled midfield so well. Yeah. I find it really hard to wrap my head around United being favourites at Tottenham for this one. So I totally agree. We're going to stick on this game now and look at the total goals market. And here, just want to point out an offer that the guys at Spreadex have for new customers. It's bet 10, get 40. So if you bet 10, you get £40 worth of free bets. And 2 of these free bets include £5 total goals buys. So, for example, if you were to buy here, the total goal spread is 2.95 to sell, 3.15 to buy. If you were to buy for a £5 at 3.15 and it makes 4, then you'd be in profit. 5 would be in profit in a similar way. So that's the way that would work. With obviously being a free bet, no liabilities at the other side. So total goals here, 2.95, 3.15. Quite a high line, Jack.
It is, isn't it?
3, 2, 1. But we're both
higher. Yeah. There you go. I thought you were setting me up for a fall there.
Yeah, take it away.
Okay, yeah. It just seems like there's going to be lots of goals in it, doesn't it? Simple as that, really. I kind of touched on it when we were talking about the Supremacy. I feel that these sides are suited to playing each other. United with the space in behind Tottenham's high line, the aggressive press. You can see Rashford. I wouldn't be surprised if Sancho has a start in this one, I think, because of the fact that they will play that way. Hit him on the break, a lot of space in behind. I think United will have chances. And as you've already mentioned, with the players that Spurs have got, they're going to be able to pick their way through the United side that obviously threw up so many chances against Wolves. If Wolves can get us an XG of over 2, then Tottenham at home with probably the majority of the ball, I think they look good. 8th best home record in the league last season. Spurs 37 goals scored, 25 against. So that shows that they're a bit brittle at the back, I think, but certainly got goals forward. I know we're Harry Kane-less now, but that'll just mean others will step up, and say they've got some good talent there. And United conceded.
I love how easy you make that sound.
Yeah.
Harry Kane's got others to step up. It doesn't matter, he's fine.
That's right. It's like me having to step up because in Dan's absence this week. What I mean? It's a tough task, but I'm trying to raise to it. 33 goals conceded by United last season, actually, in 19 games. So that shows you that was a bit of a record that I was surprised about when I dug into the stats. Lost 8 games as well away from home, as many as they won, and not a great record against the better sides, which I think will put Spurs into that bracket.
Yeah. I basically agree with everything you said. I think the goals line here, even though it's high, I think so until we see Ange Postecoglou's Spurs not be a side that's going to kind of show us lots of goals, I think you want to be on the high side of this line. The midpoint being 3.05. Both of us agreeing on everything there. A high scoring game where Tottenham should come out of it with something is what we're expecting.
Yes, that is right. Yeah.
Manchester City host Newcastle. City coming back from a penalties win against Sevilla in midweek, but Kevin De Bruyne-less after his injury, ruling him out for 4 or 5 months. Newcastle fresh off. I think Newcastle and Villa were the two sides in pre-season where the fans were thinking, this is our time to really upset. And it was definitely Newcastle who came out the better in that one.
Unless you're Alex Ferguson, who thought that Villa were the best side of the weekend last weekend. Yeah.
Did he?
Yes, he did. He did. Yeah. Yeah. When asked. Yeah.
I don't understand that, but who am I to doubt Fergie?
Exactly right.
So I have to reevaluate everything I think about this whole weekend. Right, so time of first goal is the first spread we're looking at. Sell price 33, buy price 34. That fast math means the midpoint is 34.5.
Your maths is on point.
Yes. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. Add to 33, 34.5. Right, time of first goal, 34.5. Are you higher or lower? 3, 2, 1.
I'm lower.
So
are you. Oh,
I'll go first here.
Yeah, go on.
2 teams who opened the scoring within the first kind of 5-10 minutes on the weekend.
Yeah.
Haaland with the first goal for City, Tonali with the first goal for Newcastle. Newcastle already come close before that as well. I think Newcastle will come into this game seeing it as a real opportunity against a De Bruyne-less City to lay down a bit of a marker and show everyone that last season was no fluke. I think they already did that to an extent against Villa, winning the game 5-1. I know that Villa also probably had more opportunity than just the Diaby goal to score, which again falls in City's lap. But I don't think Eddie Howe is going to set Newcastle up to frustrate here. I think he'll see, especially given the way that Sevilla managed to cause City massive problems in midweek, with Ederson having to make a few saves at 1-0 to keep the scoreline at that. I just think this could be a bit of a slugfest. Normally, City games, we see teams, their opposition just looking to sit in and soak. I can't really see that happening with Newcastle here. So the good thing, normally with this bet, you'd be hoping for an early City goal. Here, it wouldn't surprise me at all if it's Newcastle who take an early lead. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally agree. I think the history of this has got goals in it. Since Eddie Howe's been at Newcastle, 4 games, 17 goals have been scored. The first goal has always been below the mark that we're looking for here. Last season, at the Etihad, the first goal was the 15th minute. In the reverse fixture, it was in the 5th minute. And that was kind of replicated the season before that as well, with 19 and 5, the goal times for the opener. And you're right, I think Newcastle will see this as a brilliant opportunity because I think Man City's defensive got a little bit of instability there defensively and obviously in midfield, especially with De Bruyne missing. Obviously, we've got Gundogan gone now as well. I think they're just trying to find their feet a little bit. Obviously, a good result last weekend. But I think that this is an opportunity for Newcastle, especially with City having that travel and the game in Greece, wasn't it? So yeah, a lot of travel and a tough game. So yeah, I think that will fall into Newcastle's lap, as you rightly say. So yeah, I'm happy with this one being seeing an early goal, as either side look to make a bit of a statement. So one thing I would point out, Cole Palmer with a goal. Last night, shirt number 80, so something to look out for.
Shirts
in the shirt
Foden's,
number.
Foden's 47?
Yeah, so one to look out for, possibly.
Interesting. Well, we really should be doing total shirt numbers now, but instead we're doing total goals in the same game, which
Yeah.
kind of falls into the same line. A little bit lower than the line for Tottenham, Manchester United here, 2.8 to sell, 3 to buy, so the midpoint here. 2.9. Are we going higher or are we going lower? I think we're going to do the same thing again. 3, 2, 1. Yeah,
we are.
Both higher.
We
I mean, it's a very quick one for me. Like if we're selling time of first goal for all of those reasons, it's then very hard to make a case for why you would then be selling the total goal line.
Absolutely right. Yeah, I think that, say, 17 goals in the last 4 meetings between the two sides, and with Newcastle being one of the rarities going to the Etihad thinking they've got a good chance and will want to go and look to put a bit of a statement out, then that does scream goals here. Can I see this being 0-0? Certainly not. I think there'll be goals in it to some degree. Last season was 2-0 here, so even if it was a loss, then it'd be a very small loss, and I think there's certainly more upside to when you look at the reverse fixture last season was 3-3. So something like that wouldn't surprise me. So I'm certainly happy to have goals on side in this one.
Yeah, for sure. And the good news, I think, is that the Twitter sphere agrees with us as well. The Who Scored did a poll asking the followers what they thought, and 74% think that there will be 3 goals or more in this game. So that suggests that we are on the right side.
Yes, this week they'll be right.
If they know what they're talking about, then we're on the right side.
Yeah.
Aston Villa hosting Everton. Now Villa really hoping that they can bounce back to some kind of winning way after their 5-1 defeat. Obviously, Tyrone Mings has been ruled out seemingly at least at the end of the season, which is a massive blow for him, and he's a huge player for them. Pau Torres not enjoying the best debut off the bench against Newcastle. Total goal minutes is the market we're going to be looking at first up in this one. 133 to sell, 143 to buy, so 138 is the midpoint line. Are you going higher or lower? 3, 2, 1.
Oh, good. We finally disagree.
There we go. And I didn't just do that just for the content. I promise. I'm not that much of a sellout. So yeah, I mean, you can take this away, and I'll reply. Why do you think this is going to be lower?
This is more of a gut shot than anything else, to be honest with you. So it was one that I certainly ummed and ahed about. It's not one that I go in with full vigour. So just to and the fact that we've disagreed possibly kind of indicates that even more. So I just feel with Everton, are they going to score? I think no, probably not. I think they're just such they've got nothing going forward. We touched on previous shows about how poor they are in forward areas. Dwight McNeil was their top goal scorer last season, and then relied on kind of long range strikes from the likes of Decore and Damari Gray. They haven't really got that ability to cut through teams. So I think they'll look to sit in. They'll look to keep it tight. You know, obviously they drew a blank last weekend, and I'm not quite sure with Villa. Like I say, it was obviously not a great performance for them last week. Unless you're Alex Ferguson, but I think I think that they'll probably win this, but I can see it being quite tight.
Yeah, I kind of. Well, I disagree. I mean, I agree in terms of it possibly being tight. I think that my main reason for being on the high side here is Everton's performance, I think, was just far better than the result that they got. I loved Sean Dyche's quote after the game where he said, I'm paraphrasing, so apologies, Sean, but he said something like, I don't really believe in XG, but the analyst told me that our XG was really good, so that's good. And that's a classic case for a manager who doesn't believe in it. As soon as it supports them, he's like, oh, right, that's interesting.
That's actually quite
but it was, because they created absolutely loads. They lost the game 1-0, but that was mainly down to poor finishing rather than any issue with the actual play itself. I think I would upgrade Everton off the back of that. And I think against a Villa side who, with Pau Torres coming in, with Mings out, having conceded so many chances, like it could have, I know that, well, what Sir Alex said, but it could have been more. It could have been more. Wilson missed a very good chance. They missed opportunities, Newcastle. And Villa clearly have some seriously good attacking options.
They do.
With Diaby looking strong as well.
Absolutely. So. I think with one thing I tend to look at is when a side gets a pasting, to use a technical term, they then will focus on not getting a pasting the following week and keeping it tight defensively. Whether they're able to do that or not, I don't know. But I think with Everton, they have got, as you rightly say, we kind of agree on the fact that Everton created lots, but they struggled to score. So we'll see how it goes. The one disappointment is that you didn't do the Sean Dyche impression with the quote.
No, absolutely
Would
no
have
chance.
liked to hear
I only read
that.
it. I didn't hear it, so it's fine.
Yeah.
So that is. So I'm going high in terms of the total goal minutes line. You are going lower. Tickets now. Bookings here. We've got 48 to sell, 52 to buy. 50 is the midpoint. This is 10 points for a yellow card, 25 points for a red card. Higher or lower? 3, 2, 1.
Oh wow!
Both gone lower.
Yeah.
I'll give you. You're the ref man, so you tell me why.
I do love a ref, don't I? Not this one though, unfortunately.
Yeah, shame.
He's not. Yeah, it is a shame. Not one of my favourite ones to get on side because I think he's just generally unpredictable. And everything about me in this game actually went. This is going to be higher.
Yeah.
Dug into the stats. And it probably doesn't support that, hence why I've gone lower. And also the fact that with Anthony Taylor, pretty much what you expect him to do, he'll do the opposite. That's kind of part of my thinking there.
Yeah.
He certainly was busy last weekend. I see Anthony Taylor as a little bit of a kind of puffy chest referee.
For sure.
And so these new directives would suggest that he will probably get his card out regularly.
Yeah.
And the fact he was, I'm now going against this whole argument, but he was the most...
Yeah, which side, did he put up the wrong back?
Yeah, I did, I know. But most yellow cards in the Premier League last season, alongside Mr. PT, Paul Tierney. I think with the directives, he has got that opportunity to be less mellow with the yellow. But...
That's terrible.
Thank you. I aim for that. Last week, he was certainly quite prolific cards-wise, but only 2 referees across the whole Premier League last week produced a higher line than this.
Yeah.
Him and Andy Madley. 3 hit the line, what we're looking at here, with 50 points, and then 5 were under. A little bit of history with this particular game. Everton, last time Anthony Taylor refereed Everton, there was only 1 yellow card. There was a few more with the game before that, which saw 5. He produced 7 when Villa played Forest. But he also refereed this fixture last season, Everton versus Villa at Goodison Park, so different venue. But there was 3 yellow cards in that one, or he did give a penalty as well. So he kept himself busy in that respect. So I just feel that, this game... is lower. It's probably, again, more of a gut shot than anything. But with the stats, I think that the line's pretty high. And I just feel that, it's going to be...
That's basically my only thinking, is it's just quite a high line, really. And there's no clear reason for these two to have a particularly feisty game. There's no rivalry. I think if you're buying at 52, that means 5 yellows and you're losing money. It feels like it's probably... the right line. But I'd always rather be a seller there than a buyer.
Yeah, if I'm buying, I'd want a game with what kind of quick transitions, etc. And I don't really see that in this one.
And just a clear angle. 2 games left to preview ahead of this weekend's Premier League games on higher or lower. Next up is West Ham against Chelsea. Nicolas Jackson's goal minutes is where we're going here. So this is Chelsea's striker. Goal minutes are the total accumulated minutes that a player scores in over a game. So if Nicolas Jackson scores in the 5th minute, doesn't score again, then he makes up 5. If he scores in the 5th minute, and in the 90th minute, it would make up 95. So that's the way that this works. And the line here is 21 to sell, 24.5 to buy. So 22.5 is the midpoint. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, we both agree here.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of buying player goal minutes unless I think sometimes when the line is very low, so you've got a centre-back or you've got maybe a left-back who might be playing a bit further forward than usual. That's when I like to get involved because you're basically buying at 1 or 2. So it's a kind of a fixed odds bet that you're with high possible yield. But this does seem... It feels to me like with Nicolas Jackson, in every facet, people haven't quite cottoned onto the fact that this guy is going to be Chelsea's main striker this season. And if they are going to be good, he's going to have to score a lot of goals. And if you compare Jackson's line here to 21-24 compared to the likes of, whether it's I mean, Haaland's a different case, but whether it's Rashford or Salah, they'll naturally be a tick higher. And I think you can basically ride this wave until Jackson's line moves up towards where it should be.
Yeah, agree. I think he is going to be their number 9, and although he's not, obviously, because that's unlucky. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying. Had good chances last week. XG of half a goal last week, which I think was fair. Had 4 shots, 2 of those on target. So I think that's a decent return, and I think if he continues to do that, he's going to score goals, as he did at the back end of last season, where he was prolific. So. Plenty of shots on target. Scored in a lot of those games towards the back end of last season for Villarreal. Do I see Chelsea scoring against West Ham? I do. I'd probably suggest they might win that one. Therefore, I'm happy to take their main striker, as you say, their focal point, to get on the score sheet. And if it's before the 20th minute, we'd say we're unlucky.
Yeah.
I'd suggest that he got the full 90 as well against Liverpool, which I think is a key thing, because obviously you want him to be in action towards the back end of the game. So we'd expect a similar scenario this weekend, and I think he'll break his duck, and therefore this looks a pretty attractive line. You're right.
Yeah, it absolutely does. So we're both buying Jackson's goal minutes to get off the mark in the Premier League for Chelsea. Came close a couple of times, as Jack said, against Liverpool. Finally, Crystal Palace hosting Arsenal is our final match we're going to look at here. I'm looking at the last match goal. So 63 is the sell price, 60 is the buy price. This makes up 0 if there is no goal. So you can't be cheeky and just buy 66 and then hope it's 0-0 and then you make up, hopefully for the max payout. So 64.5 is the midpoint. This is where the last goal is scored, so the amount of minutes the last goal is scored. So if there's a goal after 5 minutes and then a goal after 85 minutes, it would settle at 85. Right, higher or lower? 3, 2, 1. Yeah, both going higher here. And again, the Twitterverse or the X-verse agrees with us. 83% think there'll be a goal after the 65th minute.
Why do you think?
I think part of this is because Forest were, apart from the chance the Brennan Johnson missed very early on Saturday, they kind of really came back into the game from 2-0 down in the last 10-15 minutes or so. Yeah. And I think Arsenal showed a little bit of vulnerability at the back. And in this one, with the players that Palace have got, I know that they're losing, obviously losing Elise, who is injured anyway. But in terms of like Eze running at defenders late on, Doucouré is a player that I really like. I thought Odsonne-Edouard looked like a different player on Saturday, getting his goal, getting one chalked off as well. They've just got players in transition that I think could hurt Arsenal. And I think this is a game where Arsenal, I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal drop points. And for that reason, if it's fairly tight late on, and it tends into a bit of an end-to-end game, then that kind of plays into this too. So it's a vibes pick, really. Yeah. But it wouldn't surprise me if there was a goal after 66. And then also you factor in this is obviously the kind of line where, because of the new added on time scenario, where it's quite often we're now seeing 5, 6, 7 minutes added on to the end of a game. You'd be nervous sitting on a set at 63.
Certainly would, yeah. Shane Daniel-Sturridge is not here to pick up on your vibes, to be fair,
I know.
But I'll try and do as best I can.
Fine.
I think this sets up perfectly for a late goal buy, really. I think that either way this game's going to go, should see some late action, be it Arsenal being in front. I can't see them running away with this one. It does look like it should be a tight game, and therefore if Arsenal do get their noses in front, then you're going to be looking for Palace to be pushing towards the end, and obviously then at risk of counter-attack. And also I could see Palace keeping it tight, or potentially even getting their noses in front, and then Arsenal are going to be pushing for equaliser or winner. So it's got a history of late goals as well, the last 4 seasons. Last season at the Emirates, there was a goal in the 74th minute, the last goal. There was also one in the 63rd. Here last season at Selhurst Park, it was 85th minute, the last goal, and we saw 74th and 90 plus 5 the prior season. So certainly supports the argument. Looking at the goals at the latter part of the game, we saw quite a few from both these sides in the respective home and away games last season as well. So I think it all supports for that, and it's interesting to see like Roy Hodgson's kind of albeit we only got one game to factor that in. He's kind of picked up from where he left off last season, where he's generally quite a pragmatic manager. They did have more of the ball, created lots of chances against Sheffield United. So, interesting to see if he does continue that. I would imagine he will go slightly less gung-ho against Arsenal. But, as you rightly say, a lot of players that can hurt Arsenal in transition. So, looks like a good game set up for a nice a late goal.
Lovely stuff. There you have it. That is our preview with high or low with Spreadex and Oddschecker ahead of the second weekend of the Premier League season. Hopefully, a couple of winners in there for Jack and I. We agreed on most things.
We did, I think, we did.
Yeah, very shrewd. But make sure you check out Spreadex, where you can find all of those markets and plenty more ahead of the Premier League weekend. Also, make sure you check out the Bet 10 Get 40 offer for new customers. If you haven't got a customer already, sign up. You can find all the terms and conditions for that offer up on site as well. And Oddschecker will have all those markets that you need. Make sure that you're on the fixed side of things, and make sure that you also subscribe to the Oddschecker YouTube channel, where you can find every episode of Higher or Lower, and plenty more preview content up on there as well. So that's it from us this week. We're back again next week, hopefully with Dan sitting between us as well. Make sure you enjoy the football, and please ensure that you gamble responsibly.